I find the whole subject of Islamic etiquette, manners and morality to be absolutely fascinating, and I wanted to share with you an extract from this wonderful book. It's called Imam al-Bukhari's Al-Adab al-Mufrad with full commentary. It's a perfect code for manners and morality. And this is a really thick book, and it's actually quite cheap to get these days as well. And on the back it says this: Imam al-Bukhari is best known for being the author of the rigorously authenticated collection of hadiths known as the Sahih. This Islamic work is deemed by Muslims to be the most authentically transmitted work after the Quran. And while it includes roughly 250 hadiths on adab, this word meaning good manners, etiquette, moral values, al-Bukhari also dedicated a larger separate work to these very important areas that are relevant to the Muslims' daily lives. And this separate work is known as this Al-Adab al-Mufrad, and the present volume presents the work in translation with a complete commentary. So this is an absolute treasure if you want to focus on rigorously authenticated hadiths on adab. Now, chapter 19 of this I just really like. It's entitled Young and Old. Young and Old. I'm going to read several hadiths from this, selected by Bukhari obviously, and some of the commentary, which I think is really helpful when it comes to etiquette, manners, how we should view young and old. And the chapter begins with some comments. Some hadiths were reported by different companions of the Prophet and in different chains of transmission. This indicates that the Prophet might have said the hadith on different occasions to different people, or that he might have said it on an occasion when he had a large audience. And then several hadiths are quoted, and I'll just mention a few of them. Number 355, Abu Huraira reports that the Prophet said, "A person who is not compassionate to our young and does not respect the rights of our old people does not belong to us." Okay, that's one. Another one, hadith number 357. Abdullah ibn Amr reports that the Prophet said, "He does not belong to us who does not show due respect to our elderly and is not compassionate to our young." And the last hadith I'm going to quote here, 359. Al-Ash'ari said, "It is a mark of glorifying God to honour Muslims who have gone grey, to respect a person who knows the Quran by heart, provided that he neither goes to excess nor is negligent of it, and to honour a ruler who maintains justice." Now, there's some commentary on these, very interesting, and it shows really also the differences between the Muslim view of the elderly and the young and the prevalent Western view of the same. And the differences, I think, are striking, and there's much to learn and much food for thought here. So our author says, in these hadiths, the Prophet mentions two groups for special treatment: the young, who need compassion more than anything else in the way we treat them, and the old, who need respect. People may love the young and instinctively be kind to them, but they may also feel them to be a burden, particularly when a child is rebellious, ill, or unable to express its needs. Compassion eases any difficulty that a child may cause. It motivates the adult to try to understand the child and identify the causes of its unhappiness or irritation, enhancing the first and dealing with the second. Therefore, the Prophet stresses the need to be compassionate to children in all these hadiths. On the other hand, these hadiths focus on the treatment that should be given to elderly people. It goes without saying that when one grows old, one's strength declines. Several faculties weaken, including memory, hearing, and eyesight. Some elderly people may become unable to express themselves as well as they used to. The problem is that there is little hope of recovery. Indeed, the reverse is true, and the weakness is increased as time goes by. In other words, it just gets worse progressively and worse. Hence, some people may treat an elderly person with condescension, which may hurt their feelings. To be kind to an elderly person, showing respect and understanding, and overlooking that they may be slow in one thing or another, are all easy for anyone who has a clear sense of social values. And this is what the Hadith brings. It brings these social values. We can learn much from the wisdom and experience of older people. To dismiss any elderly person as someone who is past usefulness is particularly cruel, and this happens unfortunately a lot in the West these days. Because it is easy to fall into this trap, the Prophet repeatedly stressed the importance of showing respect and kindness to our elderly. They are people we should honour. Hadith number 359, already quoted, provides a good example of how the Prophet combined the treatment of three different categories of people under one heading. The Hadith says, just to remind us, it is a mark of glorifying God to honour Muslims who have gone grey, to respect a person who knows the Quran by heart, provided that he neither goes to excess nor is negligent of it, and to honour a ruler who maintains justice. An elderly person who has gone grey may be only an ordinary person who never aspired to high position. He may be far removed from the person in power whom the Hadith tells us to honour if he maintains justice. Both may have little in common with a person who has learnt the Quran by heart. The latter may only be a youth in his teens, or even younger. Much younger people these days remember the Quran in its entirety. It's remarkable. Nevertheless, the Prophet tells us that to honour all these people is a mark of proper glorification of God. It goes without saying that to glorify God is an act of worship which is required by a Muslim throughout his life. This is indeed the mark of true faith. Therefore, when the Prophet defines a certain type of behaviour in society, relating it to the glorification of God, he emphasises its importance as a proper Islamic attitude. Consequently, Muslims acquire this as part of their social values. This is the reason why the elderly have always enjoyed a position of respect in Muslim societies. Now, this next paragraph I find is so heart-rendering and striking. As a Westerner living in the West, obviously, the situation is so different from the way it's described here. So I'll just perhaps make some comments after reading the paragraph. This is the reason, to repeat, why the elderly have always enjoyed a position of respect in Muslim societies. Wherever we may go in the Muslim world, we find families taking care of their elders, even when providing such care involves putting in much effort and represents a heavy burden. Looking after a senile or invalid person may be very hard and tiring. Muslim families undertake these tasks with patience, hoping to receive God's reward. In fact, old people's homes are scarce in Muslim societies. Let's repeat that. Old people's homes are scarce in Muslim societies because society makes it shameful for a family to relinquish its duty of providing proper care for its elderly. This is so heartrending. In Britain, and I know it's true in many other places in the West, when a person reaches a very advanced age, they are basically sent to special homes away from the family where they are looked after by professional nurses or support workers. and they all live together, and they just watch television all day, and they're looked after by. It's very, very different. They're taken away from their families nearly always and put in special homes away from their loved ones. And there they live out days, often without much love or care from their family. And it's just awful. And I'm not blaming anyone. It's just the way the West is set up like this. And basically the elderly are not respected. They're seen as to be marginalised and put away somewhere, so that we, in our working lives and our professional lives, don't have to deal with the responsibilities of caring for them and looking after them. But Islamic social values are very different, and they're family values based on providing proper care for its elderly within the home, within the family. And I think that is something the West can learn from and look to improve the quality of life of everyone. And of course, in the West, it's divorced from any sense of the rewards of God and God's providing the elderly support in families. It's completely cut off from any theocentric understanding of our lives on earth, which are basically centered around seeking advancement and pleasure and money and so on, completely cut off from a larger theological understanding, theocentric understanding of our purpose in life. Anyway, I just wanted to share those lovely hadith from chapter 19, Young and Old. And this book, which I do recommend, is really thick. You can see, I mean, there's literally thousands of hadith just on manners and morality. It's a perfect code, it says, of manners and morality, compiled by Imam al-Bukhari, so they're all authentic, and it's a marvelous treasure to own. And God willing, I will record other perhaps videos talking about other hadiths as well. Till next time.